We travel back to the village of Milford again this week to learn more about its history. This community has a unique window into the past, the David Sayre Store and House Museum. The Sayre family operated a general store out of their home for 30 years at the beginning of the 19th century. The museum brings to life the historic interplay between the family and their customers.
The Sayre House gives us a peek into what life was like back in the early 1800s, back when this very area was the edge of the frontier. Come here to the Sayre House and take a look at these ledgers, because they tell an awful lot of what life was like back then. For example, Dr. Stockwell would come in July 22nd of 1835 and buy 6 2/3 pounds of butter. And then there was Andrew Johnson, who came in about the same time and bought a half a gallon of whiskey, all for only what would be about 50 cents. What is unique about this building is that it contained not just a home, but in the back it had a store. Now remember, back in those days, people made their own clothes, they grew their own crops. They weren't accustomed to going to a store, and it became what was called the market revolution back at the beginning of the 1800s, where you would come here and buy things. People would come through that door with their own products, they'd be carrying them into this building, then they would either barter those products or get money for them. They would then use the money to buy tea from China or cloth all the way from India. One of the Sayre family members still lives here in town. He's 94 years old. He tells the story of when he was 12 years old. His grandmother told him to go up into the attic and clear out all the junk. Niles, like most 12-year-old boys, was not too efficient at carrying out his assignment. Coming out of the attic, he dropped a few of these onto the floor. They were discovered years later, and now they are a precious tie to the history of this village. The church next door to the Sayre House was built at the same time, and you would have women inside here who were members of the temperance movement. They would be preaching the evils of whiskey. Mrs. Sayre would be preaching the evils of whiskey, while her husband was right next door selling it by the gallon.
This church was built in 1804 to 1806 as a Presbyterian church in the local meeting house in the village of Milford. It became the Upper Susquehanna Cultural Center in 1997, and the Milford Historical Association runs it as a community center where people have a series of lectures, workshops, meetings, and get-togethers. The organ was brought into the church when it was at the height of the Presbyterian congregation here in the 1870s, and they redecorated the inside of the church. The church organ is only one of 4 of its kind, and it still plays. And occasionally we have people come in and play the organ for the community.
I realize it's all a dream. We're gonna leave this place, yeah. Everybody's sorry for something, some are sorry for more.
100 years ago, back when electricity was just starting, the dam behind me was built, and it's called Collier's Dam. Now, not only did it create electricity, it also created behind it a lake known as Goodyear Lake. On Memorial Day every year, there's the Clinton Canoe Regatta, and if you're wondering what those step-like things over there are, well, for years and years, the canoeists, when they were going over that area, would slip and slide through the mud. So that was built so they could carry their canoes. What's it called again? A portage. Goodyear Lake is the site of the annual polar bear jump in February. It raises money for children with life-threatening diseases. So if you want to start your year out good, you may want to jump into Goodyear Lake this coming February and do it for a good cause.
As we discovered last week, Milford has its fair share of antique dealers. One that we couldn't pass by is Woodbull Antiques. It is like no other antique shop we have visited before. It is surrounded by garden paths and hidden sanctuaries, and inside you'll find reading corners and cozy nooks. Kip and Judith Coburn have transformed this old building into a tourist destination.
Crawling in the stagger out into the night.
Route 20 may be well known for its antiques, but come down here to Route 28 in Milford and you're going to find the Wood Bull Antique Barn. It is filled with tens of thousands of antiques and collectibles. Even if you are not into antiques, when you come here, it's like exploring gardens outside. And when you go inside, it's like going into a huge museum with 4 floors for you to discover.
To see